Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to What the Fuck Are We Doing? I'm Randie.
And I'm Miranda.
And hello, happy Monday, you guys. We're back.
Mm-hmm.
I look sleepy. I feel
I
like
do
we both
too,
kind of look a little
honestly.
sleepy. We're like,
We're like, good
um,
morning.
yeah, I'm clearly not ready. I'm in a sports bra and I just got out of the shower and we're doing the damn thing and we're here to provide you guys with another great episode.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like these topics lately, if you guys didn't know, Miranda has been coming up with all these topic ideas, and I think they're so perfect. Like today's is gonna be good.
I know, I'm excited. I
So,
was just like, I have these moments, so I feel we're out, like, Randy and I will be talking, and we have, like, no ideas, and we're like,
oh, we have no
what are we
ideas, you
gonna
guys.
do? What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? And then, like, other days, I'm like, oh, what if we did this? So I just, like, put them all
Yeah,
in my notes for, like, a rainy day, I
and
guess.
they're so good. And today, I was literally just thinking about it when we were showering. Like I was thinking about today's topic. We're talking about what our 20s have taught us so
Mm-hmm.
far. And I was thinking, I'm like, okay, like yeah, this is a good topic because I feel like you can touch on this like every year
Yeah, I mean, I
of
think
your
so, too.
20s if you wanted. But I started thinking, I was like, wow, like I am going to be 24. Like Miranda's going to be
Yeah,
25 soon. Like, what a good time. And
I
then I started to
know.
really think about, like, okay, so if you're new here and you didn't know, we started this podcast during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like we're in this like transitional stage of like, we've said it before, like making what the fuck are we doing into like what it was truly meant to be.
Yeah.
And I feel like now, like this episode is sort of like a reflection episode, even though we kind of do that in some
Most of our
episodes.
episodes, yeah.
But I feel like this is just really like, wow, like I'm about to be 24. Like we're really approaching like that middle.
I know. Well, we started this, I was what, 23? You were 22?
Yeah,
Yeah, so like I'm gonna be like in my mid 20s
like you're
officially.
officially gonna be like a mid 20s girl. You
Isn't that
know, like
scary? Like
I
I'm
don't
not
think it's
gonna.
scary. I'm excited for us.
I don't know. I was just like, it freaks me out because then I'm like, oh my God, I'm only 5 years away from 30.
But then like we've mentioned it in a like previous episodes, like I don't know about you anymore, but like I'm so excited for 30. I feel
Oh,
like
same. But
it's
I'm
gonna
just
be
like,
like I don't want to say it's gonna be our prime because it's like obviously I don't know, but I feel like it's gonna be
I
really good
hope
for
it
us.
is. I don't know. I don't feel like every day I wake up, I'm like, I don't feel like I'm ready to be 25. Like, what does a 25-year-old look like? I don't feel like I'm it.
You just gotta say I'm ready. I am ready.
I'm scared. I'm going to be old.
But
Oh
I
my
feel like
God.
it's just perfect because this entire podcast is like for and dedicated to like 20 something year olds,
I know. What are we going to do when we're old? What if we had to change our whole
30
podcast?
something year olds. um, but yeah, I don't know. This episode's exciting and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just feel like it kind of made me realize like we've been talking about our birthdays and like just that age approaching and
Yeah.
I feel like this morning it really like settled in like oh yeah, like you guys are actually
Especially because,
gonna
like, we're coming up. Like,
yeah,
after
it's
this
like
month is when it starts. Like,
yeah. Like if you guys didn't know, Miranda and I are both summer babies.
yeah. That's why we get along so well.
We thrive in the summer. Like this is our time. Like
The
when Miranda said
summer,
it's approaching, like she's like it's about to go down, like she really
it
means it.
is.
Like
Like,
July and August back to back.
we just have a great time those 2 months. Like,
I know,
oh,
and it's
I'm
been
so
hot.
excited. I know. I'm kind
It's
of
been
hoping
real
it,
hot
like,
in Southern California, guys.
chills out. We have, like, an excessive heat warning.
Do we?
Yes.
Honestly, I've been so busy, like I don't even know what I really don't know
I
what's going
only
on.
checked because I was checking the weather and it literally says excessive heat warning. I'm like, okay. Never
Yeah,
leaving
my
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 house.
thing lately has been like going to work. Like I obviously have to wear like jeans,
Yeah.
and I'm walking in, like from my car into work, and I'm dying because
Oh,
I'm just
I'm
like
sure.
I'm
Is it
so
cold
fucking
in
hot
there
and
at
irritated.
least?
Okay, it feels so good inside, but I think it's just because there's so many people
Yeah.
in there, like, and then I'm constantly fucking running around and
And then
doing
you get
shit.
like
Like I'm
warm.
hot, yeah. So
Mhm.
today my hair is gonna be up, like
Yeah,
no
I would do
makeup.
that. Yeah. Wow. Wow. Working Randy. What a
I don't
time.
know how I feel about her at the moment. Like today is just one of my days where I'm like,
That's fair. I
yeah,
mean, like that's gonna happen. I had an interview the other day, and I was like, like, I want this job, but like, then
But
I gotta
do
go to
I?
work. Then they're gonna
Yeah,
tell me,
no, literally,
you gotta
like,
be here.
that was me with obviously this job that I just got. Like when I was going through the interview process, and you would ask me like, "Are you excited?" I'm like,
You're
"No."
like, no.
I'm like, "No," because I'm gonna have to work. And then like when they told me like at my interview, like, "Oh, you know, like we want to hire you. You got the
You're
job."
like-
I was so stoked because I was like, "Fuck yeah!"
Yeah.
Like I'm capable. I did it. And then I remember like driving off the lot, and I was like, "Damn! Like I'm
You're
gonna
like,
have to go to
"I
work
gotta
now."
work.
Like. I'm like, oh, it's not just them giving me checks. Like, I actually got to
Yeah.
put in the work. Oh, okay.
I know. Part of me is like, if I don't get this job, I'm gonna apply to Starbucks again, and I'm gonna go back to
Dude.
being a barista.
I was talking to a coworker of mine about that the other day. I was like, yeah, like fucking Starbucks. Like, I mean, I'm not saying like anyone could just work at Starbucks, but I was like, Starbucks didn't even fucking hire me. Like, and I applied there
They're
so
like-
many times.
Yeah, they're like very. When I got hired, they didn't even want to hire me because it was my first job, and they like were like, "You have no experience," and I was like, "Duh."
See, this is one of those moments, like, if we can take it back to last week. If you guys haven't listened to last week's episode, you need to listen to it.
Yes.
But this goes back to us being overqualified. Like, I feel like I'm overqualified for Starbucks.
Which is funny because
I'm like, why the fuck don't
like,
you hire me?
when
And I
I
go to
worked-
ASU.
yeah, when I worked there, like I was in college at the time, and I worked with so many people that were like in grad school or like had degrees, and like it was very normal. Like that's what
Yeah.
everyone did. And so I was like, they wouldn't hire some people, and I'd be like, and then they'd hire other people, and I was like, why is this terrible person working here? Like,
Right? Like,
I don't
I
understand.
don't know. Some places just don't make sense. I feel like that's been like
Yeah,
a lot
fucking
of the places.
Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
I'm still not over it.
I hope they call you back.
I hope they call
That
me
would be
back and they're
great.
like, we're
That
so
would be like
sorry.
a full circle moment. You know?
They're all, we heard the podcast. We're going to hire
and
you.
we decided like you are overqualified and you deserve this job.
You deserve this job. I just wanted to wear that Hawaiian stuff, honestly.
Yeah, that's a vibe. You would look
I
cute
thought
in
it would
it.
have been cute.
Yeah, it would have been. And
Oh
I
my
would
God.
go to visit you all the time.
I'd be like
I'd be
bagging
like, I have to
groceries.
go to this Trader Joe's. Yeah, but okay, so this week we are talking about what we've learned in our 20s thus far.
Also,
as
before we
me-
start, excuse my ratchet nails. I
I didn't even notice
just realized people could
until
see
you
them.
pointed it out. I love
It's
that.
fine. I look like a fucking
She's starting a
kindergartner.
new trend. You do all fingers one
Some
color,
nails,
and then one
Some are
nail.
chipped.
One nail is like clear.
Oh, the middle one's off. It's a
it's
vibe.
ready to go.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So what we've learned in our 20s so far. Okay. Do you want to start?
Sure. I have 5 like big things. How many do you have?
I honestly, they're all in my head because I have so many.
Okay. I love that.
Like, but
You're
I know-
probably gonna make me
But
think
I
of
feel
some.
like
They're just gonna come.
they're just like
gonna come.
things that I feel like have been like major moments that have like highlighted so far.
Sure. Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. My first one, and we've talked. I think we've probably like covered all of these. at
We're
some
probably
point
both
on
going to
this
be like,
podcast.
yep, that's mine.
Yeah.
That's
Okay. My first one was don't beg anyone to stay,
Oh,
and this goes
we're
for
already starting.
Yeah, I
We're already
said-
starting.
this goes for all types of relationships, not just romantic ones.
Yes.
Because in my early 20s, I remember begging friends to stay, begging boyfriends to stay, and
Yes.
not one of those people needed to stay in my life. I was just like clinging, you know? Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've talked about that one before.
Oh, you could listen to so many episodes, you guys.
Yeah,
of what the
like
fuck
the
are we doing,
bottom
and
line
We're
is,
talking about that in one way or another.
yeah, nobody that you have to beg to stay is worth
Worth it.
keeping around.
Exactly.
Like, and it's sad that like it took me, I don't think I figured that out till I was like 22, but I was like, I'm figuring this out a little late, but it's okay. Like, I think it's important to learn.
I feel like we always say like, oh, you know, it's so late. Like I mentioned that I think in the last episode, or no, our Happy Best Friend Day episode with Rodrigo, when I talked
Oh,
about
yeah,
like
yeah.
what you taught
Yeah.
me, and I was like, yeah, it's so late, but it's like we're still so young. I feel like
I
we
know.
always say like, oh, we're so late, and it's like,
like
okay,
22 was very young. 22 was very young.
yeah, and it's also like like all things considered, like we learned it at like the perfect time.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that all of the things that you learn within like this 10-year time frame, like happen when they should happen.
Yeah. It sucks the way we had to learn
Sure.
the things.
Yeah, and I think too, like, it was, when I think about it, like, it would have almost been impossible for me to learn that before, because I had never been put in a situation where I had to do that or felt like, you know. So yeah, but that
I love that. That one's so good.
That was a long journey.
With any relationship. Like, I like how you hit on, like, it's not just romantic relationships. Because that's something, like, not just us. Like, we obviously, like, I don't know. I feel like if you were listening to What the Fuck Are We Doing during the pandemic, there was a couple episodes, like, in a row where it seemed like, oh, we were, like, a dating show. Like, all we talked about was dating. And it's, like, it's so easy, I think, being a woman, especially, like, in your 20s, and having that be, like, a major topic of discussion, because it's, like, we're expected, you know, to date and to, like, get married and, like, to do stuff like that. But I feel like, I mean, we talk about friendships and just basic relationships all the time, and I think that is so important, not begging. Because, like, we have both been there, and, like, we have episodes on this where, like, we've had best friends where we literally, like, begged. Yeah. And like, did, like, so many things throughout the relationship.
Yeah, and it's when I, like, we talked about in one of our first friendship episodes, I talked about this girl that I used to be best friends with, and, like, after our relationship, like, fell apart, I remember reaching back out and being like, oh, like, blah blah blah, and I wasn't begging in the same way that I did in other times in my life, but I was
it, like, reaching out, like, to be
like, I was trying to fix things. Like, I was like, I really, you know, like, I loved her. We were best friends, whatever. And she was like, yeah, no. And I was like, oh, okay. But like, even things like that, like, if someone chooses to be like, bye, let them go. Like, there's no reason to ask people to stay.
For, like, friendships. And then I think one of the worst ones, like, from what I've realized, is, okay, why in my past I was so horrible at, like, cutting ties with relationships, like, people I was dating, like, when they were so horrible to me. I don't know why, but when it came to friends, I spoke about one specific girl that I was friends with for long periods of time, and that didn't really necessarily, like, tie in with her, but, like, other girls I was friends with, when they would do something wrong, it was so easy for me to just be like, no, fuck you, I'm cutting you off, like, I'm done. But, like, why was it so hard for me with relationships? Like, it's just interesting.
Different. It's just, like, a different kind.
But don't beg. Sad. Just in general, the rule is
nobody. Don't beg, like, people for attention. Don't beg people, like, for their time. Don't beg. If nobody can offer you anything you can't do yourself. Exactly.
And, like, that's the biggest thing. I think also that's something that we need to realize is, if you are, like, begging for something from someone that you cannot give yourself, like, that's just an issue already. Yeah.
That's, like, an issue, and you should go to therapy.
Yes. And, like, that's another thing that I have realized in my 20s, I think, is just, in a way, I feel like this is, like, this is a big therapy thing. Like, go to therapy. If you could go to therapy,
I was just going to say, I should have wrote that on my list. Go to therapy.
Go to therapy. But
please go to therapy.
Like, okay, even though I'm not currently in therapy, I went to therapy and I learned a lot from it. And one thing, like, now being at the age I'm in and the place I'm at in my life, like, looking back, it's just so crazy how much, like, me, like, trauma and, like, the things that hurt you, you know, and things you hold on to, how much, like, they affected my entire life. Like, I literally, like, going back to the begging, like, I would beg people for things in relationships that I couldn't give myself because I needed it, and it was things I didn't get. And it's like, I was miserable for so long because it's like, I'm constantly begging for something that's these people cannot give me.
No.
Like, you know, it's literally something that I need to fix and heal within myself.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, I was so miserable because I'm like, fucking no one can give this to me. And it's like, bitch, it's within you. Like, you need to fix yourself. Like,
I should have added that to my list. Go to therapy.
Yeah, no, that was something that kind of flipped the switch for me, because it's like, now, like, I'm in a much better place. Like, I'm more self-aware, and it's like, wow, Randie, if you just would have stopped doing that, like, you would have been fine.
Isn't that crazy? Like, I think about that all the time. Like
if you knew me, like, before Miranda, I was literally a miserable person. Like, I was happy, like, I was the same person, but inside, like, I hated everything. I was it was not good. And I really was one of those people. I'm like, what's the point of all of this? Like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
it's stupid. And
I
then
feel
you
like
finally
everyone
just
has like
realize,
that moment where they're like, I kind of hate who I am. Like, and I had that moment when I was going through like a bunch of dumb shit. I was like, I do not like this person. Like,
I
she
feel like
does
if you
bad
don't
things.
reach
And
that point, like it's kind of not scary. Like I don't wish anyone to hate themselves because
yeah,
it's
maybe
the
some people
worst
just like are
feeling.
really self-aware and always love
Yeah,
themselves, which is great.
like which is wonderful. But most of us have this inner child that we need to tend to, and like no,
Yeah.
for real, like mine, like when I finally like came, like even after therapy, like I was fine, but then I had that whole moment and during the pandemic, which I'm sure
Mhm.
most people had because that was tough and we've never been
Yeah.
through that. But like I don't know, everything just kind of came. Like I just realized I'm like, wow, like Randie, it's really all you. Like it's up to you how you react.
Yeah, it is.
And like
It's
how you
that's
take
definitely
things.
still like a I think that'll be like a forever life lesson because
Yeah.
it's something like you always have to remember to do. But yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Something else my 20s
When I
have taught me.
reflect on my
Everyone is projecting.
is what?
Everyone is projecting.
Yes, they
It
are.
really
Randie taught
has
me
like
that.
nothing. It's like nothing to do with you. Like
No.
there's been so many times where like I say this, and there's been times where like I've told, you know, friends or family where I'm like they're just projecting, and then like when I'm saying it, I'm like I sound like one of those like stupid bitches who's like they're just projecting, like it's
No,
nothing
but
about
it's
you
true.
know.
It's
But
true.
then like I have my moments where like someone is truly projecting onto me, and like while they're doing it, I'm like, yeah, this really
You're
has
like,
nothing
this
to do with
literally
me.
is all about you.
Yeah, I'm like,
I
you're
do that.
having a bad
I think
day.
that all the time with people.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're really not even bothered with me right now. Like, you're just
Yeah,
okay.
you're just
And I'm like,
heated.
that's fine. Like,
You just got something going on in there, and I'm gonna just
yep.
let you.
gonna
I'm gonna
let
fall
you
back.
figure it out.
I'm gonna fall back.
Everybody ever.
I've learned so
Okay.
many things in my 20s, you guys. I feel like this could be the
Same.
longest episode, but we'll just hit
I know.
highlights.
My next one is like, it goes hand in hand with my first one. And I just said, know your worth. And I said, this is something that I really figured out from around the age 21 to like 23. I said I used to treat myself really poorly. And so I let other people do the same thing to me. And yeah, I did. Like, when I've talked about this before, like, I did things that I thought like were fun for me and like were like I was gonna like have so much fun and whatever, and then I was like such a sad, miserable person, and then so I would in turn just like I would just like let people use me and treat me like shit, and I didn't care. Waking up from that one was like a whoa, like what have you been doing the past few years moment. But I think everyone has to figure it out. Like, I have friends that are just now figuring out, like, hey, I'm worth more than someone treating me like shit. You know?
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like now we're gonna be 25.
Not too long ago either.
Yeah.
Like,
but that one was
a couple
rough.
months ago.
Yeah.
Talked
And
to
that's
Randie in like early March.
Yeah. Well, and this is one like I remember my mom used to tell me this all the time, like, don't you know your worth? And I'd be like, yeah, I know.
Of course I do.
Yeah, and then
Like,
I was
because when
clearly
someone
I
asks you,
didn't.
especially like your mom,
Yeah, you're not
I
gonna be
feel
like,
like-
no. You're not gonna be like, you'd be like, Mom.
you're asking me. You're asking me.
Oh my god. But I used to be like, yeah, of course I do. Like, I know what
Who do you think I am?
Yeah, and then I would like reflecting. I'm like, wow, girl, you didn't know at all. Like, at all.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
It's so like, it's so sad, but at the same time, like, we were
I think
so
you
young.
have to do it. You have to like go through that.
Like when I talk to girls, like this is honestly when I specifically speak to women. Like this has been happening at work lately where they want, like, you know, when girls try to get to know you, I feel like they automatically talk about like dating. Like, oh,
Yeah,
are
they
you
do.
dating? Like, I don't know why that's
It's
the
like
topic
an
of
easy
discussion. Like I was
yeah.
telling one of my good guy friends this the other day. He asked me like how work was, and I was like, oh, they finally asked me like about my relationships and like my love life and like why am I no longer with my ex, and like they were literally girls were asking me, and I was like,
Oh my
I
God.
don't know if I want to talk about this right now.
I'd be like, hi, you're a stranger.
Yeah, I'm like, girl, my last relationship.
You're like, listen to the podcast. Go ahead. It's all on there.
But I was just like, why? Like, why is this something we talk
Yeah.
about? Like, it's just so much. And then I just started thinking about it, and I'm like, I'm still so young. Like, if I were to even talk about those relationships, it's almost like they're probably gonna be like, what the fuck did you put yourself through? And it's like,
Yeah, at such a young age.
people are either gonna be like shocked, or I feel like they're gonna be like be able to relate.
Yeah.
And that's the scary part where I'm like,
how many shitty people there are in the
yeah,
world.
like,
Yeah, that have put people through stuff like that.
because like one of my coworkers, she was talking to me about how like she just found out like she got cheated on.
Oh.
And then I was just like,
You're
you know, like I'm like, I don't know her.
I would have cried.
What? Like, excuse me? Like, what happened?
Oh my God.
But no, it's just like, I don't know. I've just been having these thoughts lately. Like, I don't know. I feel like I see certain people in relationships and I'm like,
I think
I'm only in my 20s. Like, I have to deal with this for how much longer?
I know.
Or like, you know, like, I don't know. It's just a lot.
It is. But
I don't even know where I was going with that. But relationships are a lot, especially in your 20s. Like, I feel like relationships are a lifelong lesson. Like, you'll never just get it down.
No, I don't think you're ever like great at it. Like, I think you have to work at it always.
It's like, I really, like, as cheesy as it is, I think you decide whether or not like someone is your person,
and then you just work for it. Yeah,
they're worth, like, you know, working for it and growing together. Yep. But it's just like, damn, like, I'm only gonna be 24. like obviously relationships, like, that's something I can choose to do or choose not to do. Like, currently I'm choosing not to do that, but it's just like, damn, like, the human relationship and connection,
it's like
is
a lot.
just,
it's so much more than
it's a full-time job.
It's so much. I just like shrunk because I sat off my feet. It's so much more complicated than young me thought. Like, the Miranda that I was like 4 or 5 years ago had no idea what a real relationship was, what type of work it involved, like none of it at all. And it's like so wild. Like, why did nobody tell us those things?
I feel like, because, okay, like, when you think about it, I feel like they don't tell you those things because it's like we're supposed to like believe that it's like this grand thing.
True.
But like, okay, honestly, like, both of us, think about like your childhood and like watching certain relationships. I feel like that in general is enough, and that's what taught us things.
Yeah, we should have known.
Yeah, like this is when the, like, you know, the classic like believe actions, like, not words, like, comes into play.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. It's just, I mean, being on this side of things and being an adult, like, now, it's much cooler because I feel like I have some things figured out, at least with relationships, where, like, when I was dating at like 18, I feel like I was I was drowning. I had no idea what I was doing.
And you're so young. I think that's the thing too. Like, I don't know about you, but I just know that, like, at 18, like, I always say, like, I'm so independent, but it's like
18 is like
I thought I was so grown, and it's like I really
Same.
wasn't. Like, even though my
So did I.
situation was weird and like I wasn't living at home and stuff, like, I thought I was so much older than I really was. And then I look back at it now.
Isn't that funny? And now, like, I feel young. Now I feel so much younger.
So young. Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God.
And then I look back and I'm like, who did I think I was? Like, okay.
That was me. I remember being 18 and like asking my parents to do stuff, and I'd be like, why do I even have to ask? Like, I'm an adult. I'm like, girl, you literally came right out of high school.
Mine, that's the thing too. Like, mine, when I moved out, like, into my dad's, when he was in prison, I remember like that was just like a major like shock for me, because like I didn't have anyone to report to.
You just like did
so
whatever.
Like, I really was like, yeah, I am my own boss. And then now
wild?
Like, making my way back to my mom's house and like being older, I'm like, I'm so young. Like, I'm like, Mom, I'm gonna go.
Yeah, I'm like, now I'm gonna tell you I'm going here. Is that fine? You're like, tell me it's fine.
I literally just shared my location with my mom the other day because I'm like, I don't do anything anymore. She was always the type to be like, Randie's so sketchy. She doesn't share her location with me. I'm like, yeah, because I don't want you to know.
You're like,
where
now
I'm
I'm grown, Mom. You can have it.
I'm like, Mom, I'm grown. I got a job. I don't have
You're
time
like,
to do
I'm at
anything
work,
anymore.
I'm at the movies, or I'm at Target. Okay.
Literally, those are like my 3 places. Or I'm at home.
Or we're eating. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom's always had mine. And I used to do the same thing. I used to be sketchy as fuck, so I'd be like, you can't have it. And now I'm like, you can have it. Like,
that's the thing too, like, Yeah, mine was just like, I was definitely like, you can't have it when I wasn't living at home, because I
Yeah.
know she would kill herself and just like be on it all day trying
Yeah.
to like figure out what I was doing. And I'm like, Mom, you're better off not knowing.
Uh-huh. Oh my god.
What
Okay.
else have I learned in my 20s? Oh, like I'm not meant for everyone.
Oh yeah, that's a good
And
one.
this was something I think this has just been like, I've been learning it over the past 10 years, and like
Mhm.
as of recently I've just really like realized like, yeah, it's okay, because I mean, I'm going to tell you guys, but obviously if you've known me growing up, I wouldn't say, so yeah, I guess I was going to say, I wouldn't say I was a people pleaser. I feel like we talked about this before, but in a
Mhm.
way I was like, I wanted people to like me. And it wasn't like I wanted people to like me and like kiss my ass. Like,
No.
just the thought of someone not liking me for like whatever reason. Like, I mean, I never really thought I didn't do anything to for people to not like me.
Uh-huh.
But I think I just was like, oh my God, the thought of someone not liking me and telling other
Yeah.
people like that they don't like me like scared me.
Uh-huh.
So I feel like I was very just like neutral. Like, even with people I didn't care for, I was like, I'm just gonna,
That's so
be
interesting.
like cool with you and stuff. But now I'm I this happened the other day. I was like literally driving by myself, and like
Mhm.
I remember this girl like cut me off and like gave me a dirty ass look, and I remember like, no big deal. I don't even know
Yeah,
who the
bye.
bitch is. But I just remember like thinking, I was like, okay, Randie a couple years ago like would have dwelled on that and would have been like, oh my God, like why? Like, why'd she give
Mhm.
me a dirty look, whatever? And now I'm like, I do not give a single fuck. Like, literally, someone I know, like, I was thinking about this girl I was friends with, and I feel like
Mhm.
probably immediately who someone probably came to mind.
Yeah.
And she did something a little weird,
Mhm.
really weird, actually, and we're not friends anymore.
Uh-huh.
But I thought about her the other day, and I remember just like being like, oh yeah, like that didn't work out. That friendship didn't work out. And instead of like dwelling and being sad about it, I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm just not meant to be friends with
Yeah.
everyone. Like, I am cool and I can be cool with everyone, but it's like, why? Like, you don't
Yeah.
need to be friends and
I
with
don't know that
everyone.
I've ever
I don't think you've
this is
ever been that person.
no, because um I definitely have had that thing where like I feel like I sometimes care too much what other people think, but
Yeah.
never in the sense of like, oh my God, they don't like me. Like I've always been like, oh, you don't like
That was
me?
me. And
Okay.
now it's more like, I don't care if people know who I am. I literally, like, if people could just not think about me, that would be lovely. Like, that's the
Same.
point I'm
Like
at in
that's
my
how I
life.
feel. Yeah, I'm
Like,
like
I just want to live.
yeah.
Like,
And I think
I just
that
want to be.
that's really okay, so that's really funny because one of the ones I had on my list was literally nobody cares as much as you think that they do. And I put that this is one that I'm still learning because I feel like, and I think this ties in a lot to like how anxious I am in social settings. I always am like so worried, like, oh my God, what if I do something that's like so stupid or so embarrassing and like blah, blah, blah.
Like, you're thinking about everything.
Yeah. And like literally nobody cares. No one
Yeah,
cares. Like,
that's another thing.
no
No
one
one.
fucking cares. No
And
one
half the
cares what
time,
you're
no
doing.
one's even thinking about what you're
No,
thinking about.
no. And like, I wish I could go back. This is something I've been learning my whole life, but like, still, I put it because I feel like it's something I still have to remind myself. But like, I wish I could tell high school Miranda that no one fucking cares. Like,
Oh, literally
no one,
me.
no one cares what you're wearing. No one cares that you didn't do your hair today. No one cares that you have a pimple on your forehead. Like, no one fucking
Yeah,
gives a
like,
shit.
that's the one of the biggest things. Like, thinking about how many things or little like small details
That
that
you
we
let like
stressed over.
like and you
Like,
like were so anxious and like oh my God like no one
one of
cares.
my favorite feelings is, I mean, I'm very local to the high school I went to.
Mm-hmm.
And
Same.
sometimes like I drive past it, like,
Uh-huh.
to get to where I'm going. And I always have these moments where it's been like over the past 2 years that when I drive by my high school, I laugh because I think about like I know damn well, like, I just can't remember exactly what it was, but I know damn well, like, I had so many days there where I was stressed and I was like, this is the worst day of my life, and I'm never going to forget about this moment or whatever, and I have no idea what the fuck was
Isn't
going
that so funny, though? Like,
yeah, and I'm like, I don't even remember most of the days I had here.
no.
Like, I remember little highlights.
I barely remember high school.
Right? And it's crazy because I remember in those moments, like,
it was life. It
cheesy.
was like life altering. You were like, this is terrible.
I just remember thinking too, like, oh, I should like journal about this more, like, so I could remember. Yeah. And then, like, you know, little things would happen and I'd be like, oh, I'm going to remember this forever. Like, you know, and then here I am like, what?
I tell my sister this all the time because she's like approaching that age. And I always tell her, I'm like, I promise you, no one cares as much as you think they do. They don't even care at all, really.
You can tell her that.
And I'm like, I wish that, like, my mom told me that all the time, but I was like, no, Mom. Like,
yeah, you don't get it, Mom.
Yeah, Mom, they care. Like, I have to, whatever. And it's like, I just, like, everything would have been so much more carefree if I literally wouldn't have given a shit.
Yeah.
And, like, I had a good time in high school, but I just could only imagine if I didn't worry about such bullshit things.
Yeah. I think, like, one thing I'm happy about, I feel like in high school, surprisingly, I didn't give a fuck about a lot of things. I think my biggest thing was, like, my just insecurity about my weight. But it was, like, I look back at photos and I'm like, okay, Randie, you were big tripping. I think that my thing, you were so small. Body dysmorphia. I was so skinny, like, scary. My
only thing in high school was, like, what was it? Like, I think I went through like a phase with my skin where I was like really insecure. If that's funny, because I just went through that again. But like I dealt with that a lot, and then
I feel like those are like one of like two things that people like
get so stuck on, and that's fair. Like those ones make sense, but
at the same time,
no one's gonna remember.
So like, many people are worried about like their own shit. Like they're not worried about yours, and if they are, like,
then they're rude and they could fuck off. Like,
yeah, like those are not your people.
No, and this is one like a goal for my year. Like I want to be like super, like, you know those people that you see like just living their lives and like they just don't give a shit, and they're like doing whatever makes them happy. Like that's how I want to be.
I feel like that's like my vibe right now. Like I'm really just like,
I think it's gonna be like
I think that's why I'm so tired. I've really just been like,
because she's living deciding her life.
Like, no, really, like I feel like I've been thinking like the past 2 days I had off from work, and I remember like yesterday I was like, I'm literally not gonna do anything. I'm just gonna like chill.
Yeah.
But my mom has been off from work because she got in an accident, so I've been kind of helping her, and then now I have car trouble, so I don't have a car. So I've just been like busy doing things. And then, like, I'm like, okay, it's time for me to, like, unwind and do stuff. And then, like, someone will be like, oh, do you want to do this? And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, no, I'm tired. And then I'm like, you know what, Randie?
Why not?
You are 20-something. Live your life.
Yeah.
You can take that 1 hour of sleep away. And this is why I look beat for this episode. But I promise I'll be back to normal next week.
I did my makeup.
No, like, I really
can't even tell I did my makeup.
No, your skin is so, like, nice and glowy. I'm loving it. I've really been living for your skin lately. It's been popping. But no, like that's literally my life. I hate to say it, but I saw a tweet the other day that someone liked it and it popped up on my timeline. And it's one of those basic cheesy tweets, but it's so true. It was like, if it makes you happy, like it doesn't have to make sense to others. And it's like, preach. Like it's really, true. Like live your life.
True. Yeah.
Like parents, honestly, anyone, like I promise you. I don't know. I can't speak for your parents actually, but I know mine. Like they'll get over it.
No, mine too. They usually do.
Like
they usually do.
I'm not speaking for anyone. So like, if you go and
we don't know your parents.
Like, yeah, I can't. You can't come back and be like, actually, it didn't matter to them. No.
We don't know your family, so make that choice on your own.
But yeah, like I don't know. It's really so true. Like I don't know. I'm happy for us. I'm excited for like life to continue and for us to I don't want to freak you out, but like growing older just sounds nice to me.
I literally just had anxiety yesterday about what was I watching, and someone died or something, and I was like,
oh my gosh,
I was like, I can't watch TV anymore because these people are dying all the time. Like I'm just gonna live in a hole and act like death isn't real. I'm just hoping by the time we get old someone's invented something that I could pay millions of dollars to stay alive. and I'll do it.
But it's like, I don't know. We're on just so like different pages. I'm like, why? Why do you want to do that
I don't
to
know because I'm
yourself?
so scared. I'm hoping that with age, and people say that's how it works, like you become less afraid, you know?
Yeah.
Because you're like, I've lived on, like, right now I'm just like, oh my God, I'm so young, you know? Maybe when I'm old, I won't
Yeah,
feel that way.
I get what it's like you're scared for like premature.
Yes, yes. That's like the scariest thing.
Like that's the scariest. Okay.
Yeah, that gives me
Yeah, I
like
don't
the
know.
most anxiety.
I one thing I am grateful for is if you guys knew my mom and my sister, they're not like really high maintenance people, but like I think they're more high maintenance than I am. Like when it comes to certain things, like aging and like that sort of stuff. And I don't know. I feel like I'm just so excited because I mean, it sounds so bad. And it's like, this is again, I'm not saying my childhood was horrible, but like I was just going through it for such a long time. And I'm finally like breaking out of that phase in my life. So I'm like, fuck yeah. Like,
Yeah,
I
it's
think
gonna be
30 is
better.
going to be nice. Like,
I mean, aging is a blessing too, you know. Not everyone
like we're
gets
so,
to do
we're
it.
really just so grateful. Like, I'm so grateful.
I know, that's what I always remind myself. I'm like, you should be thankful that you're going to get old one day. Like, that's not everyone does, you know. I'll take all
Like,
the
here we
wrinkles.
are.
It's fine.
Yeah, see,
It's
that's why too. Like,
fine.
guys, I have a red eyeball. It's forming as we speak. I'm like, this eyeball is literally swelling
Did
up.
you eat gluten?
Like, that fucking is gluten's in everything. I
It
swear.
really
Like,
is.
even the things I figure out that it's not in. Oh, out of nowhere, this sauce that's
You
on
should
it has it.
open like a gluten-free market. Do they have that?
I don't know. That just
You
sounds
should do
fucking
it.
expensive.
It
and
does, but you
overpriced.
should do it.
Gluten-free market, strip club.
All these business ventures we're coming out with next year, guys.
We're partners.
I told my family on our vacation this weekend, I was like, Randie and I want to open a strip club. And my brother-in-law and his best friend were like, that's a good idea. That's like a cash cow. And I was like, so you guys are in? You want to be investors or what?
Yeah. You guys want to be partners?
Oh my God.
Miranda and Randie LLC coming this
Yeah.
summer. 2021, baby.
Honestly, I'd love to do that. Okay, what are my other ones I put on here? I went out of order. Okay, I have two more. I'll go with this one. And I talk about this all the time too, that it's okay to make mistakes.
Yes, it is.
That is, I still struggle with it.
Yeah, that's something too. I'm afraid of failure.
Same, and even in like the littlest things, like
Yeah,
mine
like
used to
things
be
that don't even make sense. I feel like
that
sometimes
don't matter, and like I put like the key is just to learning from it and just letting it go. Like we can't dwell on things that you did like 5 years ago or 2 years ago. Like there's no point because it's already done and everyone's forgotten about it already, and
it's
like
time
let it
to
go.
move on, my friend.
Exactly. So I think that one's like a hard pill to swallow, I feel. Especially if you don't like to make mistakes. But yeah, that one's definitely
Like,
been
who
like
does?
no one. And like if you carry,
And I know everyone like reacts to it differently, but like I hate it. Like no one likes getting rejected, or like failing. Like
no
and
one
people
likes doing things that people think are wrong or bad or like shameful.
And the people who can easily just learn from it and bounce back, great for you. I'm not
good for
talking
you.
about
I don't
you,
know
but
who
you
you
know,
are.
like
I wish I was like you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's been like one of the biggest ones from the past going to be 5 years of my 20s. Yeah. It's okay to make mistakes and it's okay to fuck up sometimes because we're people and it's normal, you know?
I think one of my other things that I've learned so far, and I think I've actually realized it a lot within the past year, like just maybe pandemic and like what I've been going through like on my own like little journey to like trying to get my life together, is like you really, I mean, for me, like allow yourself space and like give yourself like the same amount of love like you give to other people. Like that was one thing. Like I feel like it's so like back to me being corny and like so just typical, but I feel like that was one thing I really learned or kind of realized recently. Was I was looking at how I was like treating myself and like speaking to myself versus like how I would talk to Miranda. Like if she made a comment that like I would make about myself,
you would never,
like, I would never allow that. Or like my sister, or like anyone, you know, like just any human being. I'd be like, why would you speak to yourself or like say those things about yourself? And then like I look back and I'm like, oh, the past like, you know, 19, 20 years, I've been treating myself so horribly. And it's like, why?
It's so stupid.
Like, why do we do that?
I don't know.
Yeah, and then I feel like once I realized that, like, it's been smooth sailing. And another little thing I need to throw in there, like, this does have to do with dating, could do with any relationships, but it's like, if it doesn't work, like, this goes back to the beginning, like, don't force it. Like, it's okay to miss people. It's fine to miss people, but don't take that thought or like random interaction or them popping up as like a sign.
No, because it's
you.
Not a sign. No, it's never
not
a sign.
I promise you. Like, yes, I believe in angel numbers, baby, but that is not a sign.
It's never a sign. And like whenever you're in those phases, you're like really looking for things like that. So you're like, oh,
it's like, bitch, you're looking.
No, it's not
That's
a
your
sign.
problem. You're looking for it.
Yeah, that's God testing you, and if you do it, you're gonna fail.
Oh my God. You know what? God was testing me the other day. It's in my drafted tweets. I was gonna tweet it, but I was like, God, I know you are testing me, and I see you, and I am not responding. I am not taking this test. Yeah. I'm just I passed with flying colors. I passed with flying colors already by not taking it.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh my God. I remember I used to be like that. It's a sign. No.
Clickbait. Don't do it.
It's not a sign.
Not worth it.
Go back to your life. Ignore these people.
Wow. So many things we've learned in our 20s.
I know. The last one, I feel like it's literally what we talk about all the time. I said, it's okay to not know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody does. I don't think anybody.
No one ever does.
No. And if they say they do,
day by day,
they're lying. No one has it fully figured out. People are always wanting something. No one's like perfectly happy. No one's living the perfect life.
We're going to be, what the fuck are we doing for the rest of
our lives?
Forever.
And I think that's normal because you're supposed to like be learning forever. If we figured out what life was about, like that would be kind of boring, you know?
Exactly.
So
I think there would be no need for our podcast.
Yeah. And then we would never have anything to talk about. Yeah.
And clearly we don't shut up. So
that one is something that, yeah, I think I've finally like accepted that one. I'm like, I'm not going to know. I'm not going to have it figured out.
I'm glad.
And that's okay. Like, it is what it is.
I think that's been my biggest thing, too.
Because like, it's hard.
I used to be so, like, worried about the future in a way. Like, I feel like I didn't express it as much as, like, maybe, like, you do. But, like, that was something that would always scare me because I'm like, every little choice I make is going to affect my future in some way. And it's so scary. But I feel like once you really just learn, which is hard, like I'm not saying I'm perfect and it's like, I just don't think about my future at all and I don't plan for it at all. Like that's not what I'm saying. But once you really start just focusing like on the present moment, life honestly for me has become so much
like that's all
easier
you can do. Like, and I get,
and it's hard. I'm not saying it's easy. Like that's something I struggled with for so long. I was constantly worrying about the past, constantly anxious, super fucking anxious about the future.
Same.
And now I'm really at this point where it's like I'm taking each moment by each moment, each day by day, and it's like that's all I can do.
That's how, like, I guess I'll say it again because I share everything on here. Like, I'm applying to schools again, even though I didn't get in last time. And normally I'd be like, if I don't get in, like, what am I going to do? Like, this is like, you know, what the fuck am I going to do? And I talked to my therapist about it, and she was like, I think you need to view things more from, she's like, you know, if someone rejects you, she's like, it's not like, oh my God, like, what am I going to do? They didn't want me. She's like, you just need to be like, okay, that wasn't for me, and I'm moving on.
And see, literally.
And it's so much easier to be like, oh, like, oh, okay, I'm just moving on. But it's true. Like, okay, if I don't get into school.
Why? Yeah.
You like, just try again. You try again or you figure something else out.
that ties into like the forcing and beg. Like, don't force something that is clearly not meant for you. And like, it could tie with relationships, school, but
work,
like, if
anything.
they're saying no, like, we
It's
do
for a
not
reason.
think you're a good fit, like, that is, it's all for a reason. All for a reason.
Yeah, and it's hard because like no one likes to be like told no. Like
No,
Randy
yeah.
and I had the whole episode where we talked about like no one wanted to hire us for like months and months and months.
Yeah,
And
no
we were
one
like,
wants to hear
why?
that.
Like, why
We're
are these people-
overqualified.
Yeah, like Trader Joe's. Why don't you want to hire me? But it's
it's
like
it's
there's
all
a reason.
part of the plan.
Yeah. So I guess just trust the process.
Yeah, truly trust the process, and
if you're struggling, it's okay. Everyone struggles.
everything comes like, I feel like you realize things and everything happens when it's meant to. That's like truly what I believe.
It really does. It really
Trust
does.
me, like, guys, like, I don't want to like be sad, but I feel like I literally trip out like any day that I have like a like weird like insecure thought or like anxiety, or I start to get worried. I immediately like because like I've been so good the past couple months. I feel like when anything like that comes too much for me, I immediately start to freak out. I'm one of those people where I'm like, I've lost all my progress. Like, I'm going back to like how I was. Like, you know, that like that lasted for however long. And it's like, dude, I really over 6 months ago now, I literally did not want to be on planet Earth anymore. Like, I literally hated my life. Like, my friends knew that. It was scary. Like, I really did not want to be here. And months later, like, look at me.
Yeah, and like any progress is progress, and like
no, truly, but it's like
you're always gonna have days too. Like
I was really one of those people. Like, when I say I was miserable, guys, like, I was miserable. Like, deep down inside, I believed like only bad things were meant to happen to me, and it's like I never believed happy was a real thing, and I'm like genuinely so happy sad. Now. And it's true though. Like, that's why I'm saying it. Like, I hate to be that person. Like, I'm not just trying to talk about myself in that way, but like, if you are feeling in such a like low spot in your life, like it will get better eventually. It might not be right away. Like, I'm not promising you that, but like
most things do get better.
Yeah, like,
I truly believe that. They might get a little worse before they get better, but they usually get better.
Trust the process.
Everything that you think is life altering and you're like heartbroken and like you like a few years from now,
it is
even a few months, you'll be like, huh. Like,
but
it is totally it is. Yeah. And then you'll move on, and then you'll forget about it, and then things will happen, happy and sad, and you'll be fine.
That was such a fun episode.
I know. I hope people listen and are like, oh my God, me too.
Yeah. And I mean,
I feel like
sorry
those were
if it
relatable.
Seems like I'm sharing too much about my life, but I feel like
that's kind of our job, though.
Yeah. So
our unpaid job is to share our lives.
I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week. I'm sorry about last week's What the Fuck Are We Listening To, but
she's coming out with one.
I'm coming out with a good one, guys. I'm
is.
talking about Culture 3. And if you haven't listened to Culture 3 and you didn't listen to last week's little quickie of a music segment that I threw together, listen to Culture 3.
Yep.
By Wednesday.
Yeah. Do your homework for the class, people.
Yeah. Do your homework for the class.
Prepare for the episode. Take some fucking notes.
Yeah. And if you're in your 20s, what have you learned in your 20s?
If you haven't learned anything, that's okay too.
When you're listening to this or watching this, there's going to be a post up on our Instagram, and I need you guys to like comment on like one thing you've learned in your 20s so we can all share.
Yeah, and then it'll make us all feel better about ourselves.
Yes, let's do it. I'll start first. I always start first, but I'll start first.
Oh my God.
So check out for the post.
Yep.
Okay.
Bye.